Okay. Thanks, Sally, for being with us.
Thank you.
Sally Ramey from CP&L. And Sally, we hope you'll stay in touch with us throughout the day here, kind of let us know what the outages are like in North and South Carolina. We got some breaking news, we're told now, from Victoria Spechko, Myrtle Beach. Some more, unfortunately, some more damage news. Vic, you there?
Hey, Keith and Sherena, I'm sorry, it was a little hard to hear you there for a second. We just had a very scary situation here. Michael's going to kind of look you over on the Mother Fletcher sign that we told you. As you can see, that there it goes. The rest of it's flying through the air, as you can see, breaking off, going towards the ocean right now. That sign just started to break off just a moment ago as we were standing here with such a thunderous crash. It sounded like a building was blowing over. It kind of shook us all into reality there for just a few seconds. And as we were setting up to try to bring you a shot of it, we pretty much looked at it knowing that the rest of the pieces were just going to blow right off of there. That is the first real sign we have seen of signs that are really coming down here. Can only imagine what it's like in Cherry Grove. We'll continue to bring these shots as we sit here and batten down and hope for the best. Sherena, Keith, back to you.
All right, be safe, Vic.
We'll see you soon.
We're going now live to Earl Phelps, who is in Cherry Grove, and he has some extensive damage. The damage is more extensive the farther north you go. And Earl, what can you tell us? You're in Cherry Grove right now. What's the situation?
Right now, I'm here at this restaurant called a Biscuit Shack. It's where many of the emergency workers stop and have a meal, as well as the police officers. Even the Santee Cooper workers stop here and have a meal, and it's very fortunate for them because this restaurant has lost power several times, but the Santee Cooper workers just get it back on whatever necessary for them to get something to eat. As far as the damage is concerned, there is a tree down in the middle of Sea Mountain Road. Several trees are down along that highway that are not blocking the road. We have several power lines, and we are now experiencing some damages to roofs as well as to siding is coming off of some of the places now. Also, the street flooding is getting a little higher at this point. There's no roads closed off yet, but there are...
Okay,
Earl. We lost Earl.
I think we did.
All right, his battery probably ran out. We'll check back in with Earl a little bit later. And now we saw the damage in North Myrtle Beach and Cherry Grove to be extensive, and now, with those recent pictures from Victoria Spechko, Myrtle Beach itself is getting hit pretty hard. Now we're going to talk about Wilmington, North Carolina, just an hour away from Myrtle Beach. Hurricane Bonnie, of course, tossing trees and power lines all over that city. In fact, the damage we're having right now is comparable to the damage that city took about 2 hours ago. In fact, in some areas, the power went out around 8:30 this morning. And unfortunately, that's just the beginning for Wilmington, North Carolina, as Hurricane Bonnie makes its way on land.
We got a lot of downed trees out there, and of course a lot of downed power lines, and we just heard from a spokesman with CP&L. Do not go anywhere near the power lines, and that is why we keep telling the folks out there that it's not a good idea. You can peek out your window, you know, but it's not a good idea to be out and about, flying debris, trees down, power lines down. And of course a lot of folks are worrying about damage to their businesses as well, and there'll be extensive cleanup after Bonnie is concerned, all the way from Myrtle Beach all the way up into North Carolina. And for the latest on Bonnie and what we can expect with the next couple of hours, we go to meteorologist Ed Piotrowski. How you doing, Ed?
All right, not too bad at all. We are watching the radars very carefully for you now. We get one of these radar images about every 5 minutes or so, so they are updating almost constantly by the time you see us here. We still have some very heavy rainfall over much of Columbus, Brunswick, and New Hanover counties, extending into eastern Horry County. Looks like it's backed up just a little bit, trying to make it into western Horry County. That's because the eye is nudging northward now, and also into extreme northeastern Georgetown County, perhaps in and around Murrells Inlet. But just a few scattered showers back over the PD locations, and again, the winds for the most part have not been any higher, really, in most areas, more than about 40 miles per hour or so. That changes as you come into Horry County especially. 50 to 55 mile per hour winds reported in Conway, nearly 60 mile per hour winds, if not higher, in Loris, and of course 74 to 80 mile per hour winds right along the Grand Strand, especially on the north end. We had a 76 mile per hour wind gust right here at the Myrtle Beach Pavilion, 80 at Cherry Grove, 72 in Garden City, and no doubt the sustained winds in many of these areas have been between 35 and 45 miles per hour. That would be tropical storm force winds, but again, we've had hurricane force gusts in some locations along the Grand Strand. The eye not far from where its final destination will be, at least in terms of the landfall. Once it does make landfall, we do believe it'll start to head to the north and northeast over eastern North Carolina. What does that mean for us? We think for the next 2 hours or so, this particular storm is going to continue to produce quite a bit of wind and rain for us, about what we're receiving now. After that time, once it makes landfall, we do believe it will continue to head to the north and east here. And once that happens, help to pull these rain bands away. Conditions will gradually get better here. The tropical storm force winds will start to subside, and by late tonight, say by 10 and 11 o'clock, things will start to really return back to normal. You'll be completely out of the woods. But again, if there are any power lines down, trees down, or anything like that, that is a very crucial time for people to be very, very careful. We've seen a lot of people die in hurricanes well after the hurricane is long gone because people are out there not taking the necessary precautions when there are power lines down or plenty of trees around. So if that's the case in your neighborhood, we hope you'll take it easy and just bear with everybody. You know the companies are going to work very, very hard to restore their power to everybody, and we all can't wait to get things back to normal here. We still got plenty of rain out there. Still could cause, especially so that's what's happening right now. And if we could, we're going to go back to Sherena and, of course, Keith, if that's possible. Can we do that? Well, actually, we're going to go to Gray, I do believe, if that's possible.
I think it is, Ed.
There you go. Gray, I wanted to pass along to you. We've got some new coordinates for you if you'd like to have those.
Definitely.
I'm sure you do. Okay, let me pass them on. Latitude 33.7 north, longitude 78.0 west, or that's about 40 miles south of Wilmington, so things are right on track. It's still moving to the north at about 10 miles per hour. Kind of stole your thunder there a little bit, but I'll let you finish up.
That's quite all right. Definitely some good information as it continues to push off towards the north, like you said, between 10 and 12 miles per hour. So we do have those new coordinates about 40 miles to the south. Anytime we can continue to move that on up, it does look like in the next 2 to 3 hours that we will be watching that landfall somewhere around the Wilmington area, and none too soon, as all of us are getting a little tired of all of the battering, especially Victoria and Earl and Karen and Wendy, as they've been in the northern sections of Myrtle Beach throughout the afternoon. Winds continue to be at 115 miles per hour, has not lessened at all, and as we continue to watch it push off towards the north, especially after it makes landfall, we should start to see some lessening in the intensity of the storm because the friction of the land definitely helps aid in that. Let's take a look at what's going on as far as the track of the storm as we go on through the next 24 to 36 hours. We are watching it on that northerly progression, slow as it may be to some of us. We are then going to be watching it move off to the northeast rather quickly. We still believe as we go on through the nighttime and early morning hours of Thursday, because we do have that trough of low pressure in the east and a front up to our north that should help to give it a southwesterly kick to get it on out of here throughout the eastern counties of North Carolina. This definitely, the northeast side of the storm throughout sections of North Carolina, definitely the hardest hit. We have been hit extremely hard with this storm, but not as hard as we could have been if we ourselves had been on the east side of the storm. So we have definitely been on the back side. Things have been lessened, except extreme Horry County has been seeing the extreme of this storm throughout South Carolina, and there continues to be a tornado watch out for the extreme eastern counties of North Carolina as we go on through the evening hours. And of course that trek will continue out into the Atlantic Ocean, so by 8 o'clock tomorrow night we should be saying totally goodbye to Bonnie. We will though have to watch to see if it keeps its strength up, because if it goes out over the Atlantic, we'll have to see exactly what that's going to do to the storm. So Sherena and Keith definitely looking at somewhat of a light at the end of the tunnel as we continue to watch, but at 10 miles per hour and 40 miles away, it continues to kind of tease us a little bit, getting close to land, and then it slows up a little bit. So hopefully it will keep this forward progression.
Gray, you talked a little about tornado watches up there in North Carolina. Is that something we really need to be concerned about here at home, or does that have to do with the side of the storm that we're on?
Usually on the northeast side of the storm, that usually is always the most intense side. Of course, as we have, I don't have the hurricane symbol right here, but you know that it's a counterclockwise motion around that, and usually the northeast side of the storm with that forward progression and that wall of water, they usually have the most intense amount of rain. They also can have the most intense thunderstorms. Not out of the question to have them on the backside, because the west side is the less intense. It's usually not the case where you find that. It's usually on the north and east and the northeast side of the storm where you do find that tornadoes can be a problem. I don't believe that we've heard of any being reported, so that actually may be some good news, but at least with a watch in a hurricane, that definitely could be a possibility.
Thank you,
Thanks
Gray.
a lot, Gray. And we're just about to take a break, and we'll continue our comprehensive team coverage of Hurricane Bonnie in just a few minutes.
And we're going to leave you with some pictures, some unfortunate pictures minutes ago from Myrtle Beach. The damage continues. Here's a look at what's going on right now in Myrtle Beach. We'll see you in a few minutes.